Wealthy Chicago suburb proposes allowing residents to sign up, create a sign-up sheet to house migrants in their homes. Now, if you had this opportunity, you were living in this wealthy enclave in Chicago, would you take illegal immigrants into your home? Let's get into it. But first, before you pass judgment on this topic, I want you to watch this video. It's a good one. Here we go. This is Josh McBroom. He's a councilman on the Naperville, Illinois Council. Here we go.
We have a very affluent community, a lot of big homes. And what I'd like to do is direct staff to create a sign-up sheet. So, for individuals that would be
sign up,
willing to house migrant families. And if there's people that would do that, God bless them. So if we could raise awareness in that way, I think we need to find out. I think we need to find out who would be willing to house migrant families.
I do too.
I'm the first one that brought this topic up at our city council, and that might have made some of my colleagues uncomfortable.
And here's a pro tip: he's a conservative. Yeah, he's a financial advisor. Edward Jones.
I think that I'm just speculating that they didn't want to talk about it. They just didn't want to address it. Let's just not talk about it. Let's not get in the news about it. Let's just, hey, we're not providing aid. They're getting on trains. They're not staying here. Maybe that's the path. But I have constituents that ask, like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if they show up? And then, every single day we hear about another Chicago suburb around us passing measures or making statements. So I took it on myself. I'm like, we're going to address this problem right here. And,
brilliant.
Here's a potential solution. The room kind of went silent, and I did it in a very sincere way. And I am sincere about it. I mean, we've got a major crisis, and Chicago's 30 miles away from us. And the mayor of Chicago is begging the suburbs to help out. And we're not going to expend any taxpayer dollars for this issue. And we do live in a town that's affluent. And in my county, the county went 20 points for Biden. So, I mean, people have signs in their yards that advertise that they support this policy. So I'm not being disingenuous. I'm like, there are a lot of people here that supported this, and there's thousands of homeless people in Chicago can't handle anymore. So, in light of the fact that we're not going to expend any resources, we're not going to house migrants. Maybe here's a sign-up sheet. You want to house a migrant family? Nobody's going to bring them to your house. Nobody's forcing you to do anything, but here's a sign-up sheet. Let's see how many sign up. And so I think the reaction on the board, I did get support for the staff to look into creating a sign-up sheet. I don't know if they have the appetite for it anymore now that it's like national coverage and everybody's talking about Naperville and jokers like me. We'll see. And it doesn't look like there's any desire. We haven't had anyone call us and say, "What? It's a great idea. Hey,
I am shocked.
Ready? Can I sign it yet?" So there's no demand for it, and then we've got a lot of pushback against
not
it
even
well.
one.
So I'm not sure.
Weren't you signaling
to have the staff create a sign-up sheet? But so that's kind of where we are. I guess locally, I'm known here as well. So I'm not sure I'm going to have the support to have the staff create a sign-up sheet. But so that's kind of where we are. I guess locally, I'm known here. On the city council, I own a business here in town, and people know who I am, and they certainly know where I stand on, political issues and border policy. So, when people see what I did, they love it. And the only frustrating thing is, some of these political conservatives, this completely blew past them. They didn't see,
right over their head.
This is a sign-up sheet for people that have supported open border policy. That's what this was. And they didn't see it. And it's hard to watch, it's like, hey, you didn't get it. And they're kind of laughing at you for not getting it. So
I think it's
pay attention, listen closely. Don't look at headlines and clickbait. Look at what's actually going on here. I've had threats and, people contacting me at work and I'm just like, you guys, you don't get it. My job is to protect the city budget and the taxpayers. And it's just, it's not in my purview to say, hey, we're going to use your taxpayers to house people that are non-Naperville residents or non-U.S. citizens for that matter. I don't think that the open border policy is in any way humane at all. I mean, the people that supported this open border policy, it's like, hey, this is what's happened. I mean, they're it's okay to be sympathetic. I mean, these people were misled, and we're seeing little kids showing up at the bus stations without coats on. And I didn't vote for this. I didn't support it. A lot of us said, hey, this is going to end in disaster. So, we've got suburbs around us that are passing ordinances like, fining bus companies. And, I'm not sure how effective any of these things are going to be. If a bus is going to show up in your town, it's going to show up in your town. And so I just wanted to at least address it to the public. Number one, I mean, our city does have a plan. It would involve safe passage to Chicago. How long is that going to last? Because Chicago's busting at the seams. So, hey, I don't know what the answer is. We could close the border. That'd be one thing. We could start with that. We could put pressure on the federal government to fix this problem. But on a local level, it's like, I don't know what to tell you guys. We're not going to spend any money on this. And, if you want to live your virtues and you support this policy and you live in a nice, comfortable home in this town, then maybe you open it up.
Come on in.
We don't have a secure border. And then, a place like Chicago has advertised that they're a sanctuary city, so why would you not send them to the sanctuary city? Isn't that like, hey, they're welcome here? And now Chicago's saying we can't handle it. And,
totally reasonable.
J.B. Pritzker, our governor, is just recently, he's floating state money around. I mean, that'll be the next thing is they'll come to municipalities and say, hey, here's X millions of dollars if you can help with this crisis. I mean, that's not something I would ever support. They're doing everything they can to not address the actual problem. And it's a problem now. And it's just like, order. Hey, you guys caused this problem. Do not ask us to fix it for you.
Probably didn't exactly go the way you thought it would, right? I think a lot of folks have seen just the very, very front end of that clip where he goes, you got a wealthy community here. I think we should do a sign up sheet. Let's just see who's genuine about this. And he's literally calling his own constituents out. Hey, you guys supported this. You guys are on board with this. Let's get a sign up sheet going. Betty, can you whip us up a sign up sheet and we'll post it in City Hall and you guys can sign up. And then this is what we're going to do because we're not spending any additional money. Now, a little bit of background. Recently, Mayor, let's go to Brandon Johnson of Chicago, pointy hair dude. Let's Go Brandon had the genius idea of, hey, I'm going to go out to all these suburban mayors and we're going to try and rustle up some money. And they didn't invite a bunch of conservatives. I don't know if Josh was one of them. But yeah, Let's Go Brandon is literally, oh my gosh, we have no money. We've got millions, not millions, but literally thousands of homeless people. And we've got these buses coming in daily. That number has been slowed down. But wait until that good weather comes and you're going to see some more buses. You're going to see that sea of humanity start coming again. And so these suburban neighborhoods, these suburban communities and towns and mayors are basically saying, yeah, no, you wanted this, you take care of this. And so much of what you're seeing doesn't address the real issue, which is you got an open southern border. It's open. Even Biden has said, yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's not exactly closed. And we probably need to look at some options because this is just a terrible look. Hundreds of thousands of people pouring in. And then Greg Abbott's sending them on a bus. He's sending them to Chicago, but sometimes he's not sending them to Chicago. He's sending them to the burbs. Yeah, it's close enough. You'll get there. And so literally what Josh McBroom said here is that we've got a plan, and our plan is to take them from our suburb and to ship them into Chicago, who is a sanctuary city and wants them. Reached for comment for Fox News Digital on Tuesday. A spokesperson for the Naperville City Manager's Office said in a statement, Naperville City Council asked staff to prepare a full agenda item so council may consider whether to create a sign-up opportunity for residents to volunteer to host migrants. So we've got an agenda item to put it on the meeting. So we got a meeting for the sign up. Okay, whatever. Create a sign up opportunity for residents to volunteer to host migrants. I love how Josh, the councilman, he says, yeah, the appetite might not be there because he's calling people out. Hey, you wanted this. Here's a solution. You guys got big houses. This is a affluent area. Why don't you guys step in and help out? Literally, why don't you, constituents, step in and help? Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, we meant, figuratively. We love to help people out figuratively. But when it comes to our own homes, we don't know where those people came from. It's not very sanctuary city of you. Yeah, but we love our fellow human being. We are compassionate towards our fellow human being. And look at how many thousands of miles they came. Oh, we'll open up your home to them. And then we'll see how this works out. Yeah. And they're going to say, yeah, no. Just going to be crickets, right? It's going to be crickets. City Council has not made any final decisions or taken any final action on this issue. It has not yet been determined the date of the City Council meeting this will be discussed. It's not going to get discussed. It's going to get just totally tabled because nobody's interested. It's just a bunch of virtue signaling. It's just a bunch of, oh yeah, this is a great concept. Love it. Sanctuary. Oh yeah, help out our fellow human being. But then they immediately go to not in my backyard, and it's not their backyard. It's their home. I'm sure it'll work out. But you bring 4 or 5, mid-20s single males. I'm sure that'll work out fine with your wife, your daughter. Maybe you got, grandkids, granddaughter. I'm sure it'll be okay. Let's just test it out and see what happens. I mean, what could go wrong? We don't know where these people are from. They're not vetted at all. We don't know if they have a criminal background. We don't know anything about them. I'm sure it'll be okay, though. Just bring them to your house. Here's your sign-up sheet. All right. Who's signing up? All right. Crickets. Until council provides more direction, no further details will be available. You know why? Because no further details will be available. And now Naperville is just known across the United States. You're that one place that want to do a sign-up sheet to put them in your own homes, and nobody took advantage of it. You guys are a bunch of just double-crossing, dishonest, virtue-signaling Democrats. You voted Biden in by 20 points. Look how that's working out. You know how that's going to go. In Massachusetts, Governor Maura Healey, who declared a state of emergency over the migrant crisis during the summer, asked residents in August to consider sponsoring migrant families by hosting them in their homes as the state's shelter system reached capacity. Back in the day, I'm going to go old school now. Back in the 1970s, it was the literally mid to late 1970s. My family we didn't house, but my church took in a whole bunch of refugees from Vietnam, families. We took in, I think, at least one, maybe a couple of families. Mom, if you're listening, remind me, how many families do we take in? Because I can't really remember that. But I remember this being a topic of discussion. But it was organized up front before they left Vietnam. There was these waiting lists, and you would sign up, and it would just be, okay, we're going to do our part. We're going to help out. That whole controlled maneuver, that to me makes sense because, all right, we know what we're getting into. We kind of know who's coming. This is a refugee family. Their house got bombed, whatever. They're coming over. But the way that this one is going down, we don't know where they're coming. We don't know who they are. I mean, the only thing they have to do is declare to the United States, here's my name. Here's a piece of paper I signed up on the One app. And, I flew here. Didn't have to provide a passport. No driver's license needed. I just used the app, and here we are. All right, house me. So I think this is great. I think that what happened here is pretty funny. Twitter owner, Elon Musk, warned this month that the government could go beyond voluntary signups and force residents to house migrants in their homes should they run out of shelter and hotel space. This was on the backs of, in New York City, it got real cold and they shut down a school. And no, was this Chicago? This was Chicago. It was Chicago, where they had a tent that wasn't real secure. Yeah, the tent wasn't secure. Maybe, I don't know what city it was. I did a podcast on it. Watch my podcast. Tent wasn't secure. They cleared out an entire school and they took the 1,900 illegal migrants and housed them there in the gym overnight. Did they do that a couple of nights? I know it was at least one or two, but it was on the back of that story. And then residents are like, hey, wait a minute. Our kids are studying for the college admission tests. We're doing that right now. And they're being booted out from school and they're having to do remote school learning before they take these important tests that dictate kind of some of how the rest of their lives go. You guys are giving precedent to the illegal immigrants because your method of building a tent, just, you didn't think that through. And the tent isn't going to make it through this winter storm. Yeah. I mean, that's what Musk was kind of commenting about. Musk's comments came in response to, it was New York City. I should have just read just a little bit further. Moving around 2,000 migrants, 1,900 from a shelter at Floyd Bennett Field to Brooklyn Public High School overnight during a storm, prompting school officials to close the building to students. Closed the next day, and implementing remote learning. Parents were outraged over the loss of learning ahead of crucial college entry exams. I'd be pissed too, because you're prioritizing somebody that, you're a tax-paying resident. You are paying for these folks, and now you're paying for them to be bused to your school, take over your kid's school, and just disrupt your lives. I don't blame them for being pissed. Another Chicago suburb has been battered by a string of recent crimes. Did an entire podcast on that, right? Committed by migrants who live in or near the Windy City, according to the police chief of Oak Brook, Illinois, who revealed just days ago that nearly 40 migrants had been arrested there from October to mid-January, mostly for alleged property crimes. They're stealing stuff. They're not allowed to work. Maybe they don't want to work. Who knows what their individual stories are? But you bring millions of people into the country illegally, you're going to have a certain percentage they're going to be up to shenanigans. You've brought people in that are going to be up to shenanigans. Remember when Trump said, they're bringing rapists into the country, and we're bringing criminals, we're bringing felons in, and everybody's like, he's such a racist. Well, what's happening? What did I just read? What's happening? Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Trump was right. He's been right on so many things. It's wild, right? Chicago estimates about 38,000 migrants have arrived in the Windy City over the past 18 months, as tens of thousands more come to Democrat-led cities such as New York and Denver. So we've got New York, we got Denver, we got Philadelphia. How is Philadelphia in any way, shape, or form up for the task of being a sanctuary city? I don't know. Denver? Things are going sideways in Denver. I get comments from you guys all the time. I live in Denver and it's just a you-know-what show. It's just getting worse. Our governor's a moron. I can't believe I live here. Can't wait to get out. Things are going downhill. Democrat city leaders have largely placed blame on Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who is literally just spreading the love around. That's what he's doing. This is what you requested. As a sanctuary city, you requested it, but now that it's not working out, you're all like, but not, don't send him here. Don't send him to me. Oh, that Texas governor, he's a horrible man. This is a crisis against humanity. Nah, the open border is, period. It's not that hard to figure out, right? Not that hard to figure out, even all the way from Seattle, Washington. But we're close to the border. We're just close to the Canadian border. That's a whole nother story. You got to deal with stuff happening there, but it's not, that bad boy is sealed up. Kind of. The Biden administration, however, is facing mounting criticism over its handling of the border crisis during an election year. Yeah. House Republicans vying to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas note that under President Biden watch, the U.S. tripled the number of border encounters to 1.9 million in 2021, 2.7 million 2022, 3.2 million in 2023. $3.2 million make you hollers. That's insane. It wasn't dollars. It's illegal immigrants. 3.2 illegal immigrants coming into the country. And then we wonder when we've got issues. And then these virtue signaling blue cities. What do we do? What do we do? Well, we don't know what to do. It's gotten so bad in Chicago, where this story is based, that Let's Go Brandon Johnson has been hospitalized for panic attacks. Because the guy's not a leader. He doesn't know what to do. He has no game plan. Eric Adams, same thing. He's just, he's a confidence guy. We're just going to make this happen. We'll figure it out. Meanwhile, his budget just goes sideways. He's got people living all over the city on the streets, just this rolling disaster. But most of us saw this coming. This isn't a hard one to predict, is it? You're like, okay, yeah, what did you expect? You bring millions of people in, that's just going to work out? That's the part I don't get. What did you think would happen? Oh, geez, yeah. I mean, it seemed like a good idea at the time. It fell out, help out our fellow human being who are in need. Yeah, you can't help out millions and millions and then at some point not have a moment of reckoning, not have that come to Jesus moment where you're like, oh, yeah, I guess we do need to do something. Yes, we do. We're there. We're living it. Wild time, right? You found this content entertaining? Love to have you subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit the notification bell. We release 2 of these a day, Monday through Friday, once on Saturday, once on Sunday. I'm here to entertain. Thanks again for being here. We'll catch up soon. Bye for now.